This might not be your typical encounter, but it chilled me to the core. It's actually the main reason I no longer work in the industry, though I tell people it was the hours that made me quit. This happened when I was doing nightclub security in the UK. I was just chilling on the front door. I see a fight happening with a guy chasing another down the street, and I'm like, oh well, it happens. 99% of the time they would just shout a little bit and try to intimidate one another, and then go get a kebab and puke. Mainly, they just look to make the other person think they're going to fight. Think peacocks shaking feathers at one another. This time, however, the guys got into a tussle against a parked car, and pretty quickly the chased guy was down for the count, and passed out after some heavy blows. At this point, I need to intervene. It has literally been seconds since the start of the fight, but they are across the very busy one-way street, so I decide to try and stop cars so I can get over there on time. Feels like hours, but I get in between them. The aggressor guy is kicking the other guy's head over and over, full force as he lies on the ground. I realize he might die. I don't know why I was getting in the middle, but I couldn't help it. I get between them, shout at the aggressor to stop. Luckily, guys don't often like to fight girls. I am ready to defend myself in any case. He makes at me like he's going to start kicking me too, and I brace myself to block any strikes. He grins and books it up the road instead, and I can focus on the guy on the ground. I try to give him first aid and stop the bleeding, but his face is just a hole basically, so it's pretty hard, and the back of his head is gone too. I know of the old, if you need someone in a gathering to phone an ambulance, you need to choose a person and give them direct orders, not just ask in general. So I ask, more like I bark an order at, the only guy I see around with a phone out to call 999. His eyes are blank, and he holds his phone still. It's like in a nightmare when you yell to draw attention to something, but no one can hear you. I tell him again. Nothing. I start shouting, raising my voice. He needs to call an ambulance. This guy is dying. He needs help. I realize, by the way the guy is moving around, that he is filming us, probably trying to get a good shot of the guy's face as he lies dying by me. I feel like I am a black mirror. Eventually, someone else phoned, and I haven't seen any YouTube clips from that area or rough date, though I have looked. He might have taken it down. My insistent shouting at him and asking him what is wrong with him might have deprived him of some likes or something. I don't know what happened to any party. I'm going to court soon for the assault/attempted murder, but I'm not sure what the charge is. I'm pretty sure the injured guy made it out. I never saw anything about it in the news, which is a good indicator. He might not have been so lucky though. I am sure he stopped breathing just before help arrived. I just pray that if something happens to me or someone I care about, bystanders will call for help instead of trying to capture suffering on film. I live in this small town 30 miles away from New Orleans, Louisiana. The town is one of those everybody knows everybody types of setups, so there were really no strangers. At the time I was 17 years old and left from my house to go play football with some guys from school. I would say I was 13 minutes away from my house by car. The friends I came with decided that they would walk up and down the street to wait for the rest of the guys to show up so that we could get started, and I basically did the same. After hours of waiting, we were pretty set on them not showing up, so we just kept talking just in case they did. Then some girls showed up from my school, and my friends wanted to talk to them. Since I had a girlfriend, I decided I would leave that to them and continue walking. If you live in Louisiana, then you know how much levees are used, so I decided to continue my walk on this levee holding back the Great Mississippi River. By this time it was maybe 7:30, but in Louisiana it's usually dark pretty early, so it was pitch black. I paced back and forth in the levee, waiting for my friends to finish up so that we could go home, when this group of guys caught my eye. There were 3 of them, and they walked towards me. When they got closer, I recognized them as some boys I knew from school. Like I said, it was a small town. We chatted for a little while, and eventually we went our separate ways. 20 minutes passed, and I still didn't get a text from my friends. What was taking them so long to get out of there and go home? I just accepted that I was probably going to be there a little while longer and sat down on the levee. As time went by, I watched the cars pass on the highway, and most of them slowed down to get on the bridge to take them across the river, when I heard a loud thud. I looked around and noticed that the boys from my school were still down the levee a little further back. I studied them as I saw one of them throw something, and again I heard a loud thud. And then it hit me. They were throwing rocks at passing cars on the highway. That was pretty stupid to me, as they were basically flirting with trouble, and I decided to move a little further ahead of them and try to detach myself from them if they were to get caught. Then I heard another thud, but this one was loud. I looked and saw they double-tagged this silver car and put a huge dent in this guy's door and nicked his window pretty good. I decided not to leave, because at that moment it would make me look guilty, as they were throwing all these rocks at passing cars. The silver car slowed down and turned to get on the bridge, or so I thought. It kinda made no sense, but the car went around the bridge and basically did a whole circle back to where the group of guys were. The car parked, and out emerged 3 big guys. I stayed seated in my position and started to watch what was unfolding. The guys hurried up the levee and started walking towards the group of boys from my school. "Hey," I heard one of the men say. "Hey," one of the boys answered back, and after that they took off running. Don't get me wrong, I thought about running too, but decided against it, telling myself that I didn't want to do anything that would make me look guilty. As the boys ran down the levee and into a field, the group of men approached me. I stand up to basically not have them tower over me, and then this guy goes in. "You fucking throwing rocks at my car?" "No, I've been sitting here the whole time," I answer. "What the fuck's in your pocket?" he asks, and I see he's talking about my basketball shorts I have stuffed in my sweats. I pull them out and show him that it's just shorts, and I thought it was clear. But I was wrong. We started going back and forth about me trying to declare my innocence when he did something that stopped me dry. He was reaching into his waistband, and the moon shined on something metal. Instantly I knew he had a gun, and that I wasn't in a good position. "You sure that wasn't you throwing the rocks?" he asks as he pulls the gun all the way out. I would be lying if I said I wasn't afraid. You always hear about kids getting murdered in New Orleans on the news, and I sure thought I was next. "No, it wasn't me," I exclaimed. "Why do you think I didn't run?" I look down and see his hand shaking, and then he starts to lift it towards me. At this point I thought I was a goner, but then the second guy out of the 3 told them that I was so lucky that I didn't run, because they were going to put a bullet in everyone's back that they saw leaving. I nodded slowly, and with that they got back in their car. Many people in that situation would have called the police or run away, or anything. But I did nothing. I went back to sit on the levee as I was before. The car hadn't moved yet, and even though the windows were tinted, I could tell they were watching me. I pretended to listen to music or something, and I guess that scared them away, and they continued down the road. That's when everything hit me, and I took off running across the highway, and I looked in the direction the car went, and I saw my worst nightmare. The car was returning. I never ran so fast in my life like I ran that day. The car must have been traveling pretty fast due to its quick return, and I knew I had to be unseen. The car came down the street, and I had only one option: get under a nearby house. I practically dove under the house and laid there until I heard footsteps. "I saw him run back here," the third guy said. Then the guy with the gun said something I'll never forget. "I don't give a fuck if you find him. Kill him." I remained still, but my body was going crazy. I was so scared I thought my heartbeat was going to give away my position. They searched around the house and field for a while, and got back in their car to drive away. I wasn't going anywhere. I didn't know exactly where they went, but I wasn't going out after what I heard them say. The car made a few more passes up and down the street, until I couldn't see them anymore. That's when I decided I was safe for now. I slid from under the house and peeked around. I couldn't see anything. It was so dark, but I didn't care about that. I just needed to get home. I made a mad dash across 2 streets and almost ran into a car. Upon further examination, I saw that it was my friends, and they all looked at me strange. "Where were you?" my friend asked. "We've been texting your phone like crazy." I just stared back at them and basically threw myself in the back seat. After that, I told them everything. They pushed me so hard to go to the police, but I never saw those guys before in my life, and I wasn't really focused on their faces to make an ID. I was fighting for my life. That really shook me for a couple of weeks, but I soon got over it. It kinda shakes me thinking back on it. All I can say is make good decisions, because if I would have done anything different, I would have been dead. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and share it with your friends. If you would like a chance to have your story featured in an upcoming video, make sure you email it to yourmaker6260@gmail.com. I hope everyone's having a great day, and I really appreciate everyone checking this video out. And what's up to all the people watching me live? I'll catch you guys in the next video, and just remember, it's always scarier if it's true.